Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Now that we set up our React application, it's time to start writing some React code. First and foremost, inside of your index.js file, we're going to import the React library. Import React from React. With this line of code, we're importing the React library such that we're given access to this library's methods through this variable, React. Before we make use of this variable, it's important to note that React makes use of elements to describe the user interface of our application. React elements are simply objects. How do we create React elements to modify our user interface? Simple. Const element is equal to React. We're going to make use of this variable dot create element. And the first argument will be h1. Right here in this first argument is where you place your tag. The tag, we have it as h1. h1 is known as the header tag. It indicates a title. It's always the largest piece of UI that stands out. So whatever text that we end up giving this element, it's going to stand out as very large text on our web page. The second argument is where the props are specified. We don't really care about this at the moment. We'll come back to it eventually, but for now, just leave it as null. And the third argument is the content. The text itself that we're going to have be the title, the header. And the text will simply be hello world. This element describes that the web page should have a big title, a big header of hello world. However, how do we actually get it to show up to the page? Remember what we said before, React elements, they only describe how the web page is going to look. But what actually renders our web page is the DOM. The process of describing what you want to render and actually rendering your elements is completely decoupled. For that reason, we have to import React DOM to be able to render the required DOM nodes from these objects. So import React DOM from the React DOM library that we have installed onto our project. And another thing I want to mention, just to prove that we actually have React and React DOM installed onto our project, they're listed right here in our package.json, along with React scripts. Any packages that you install onto your project will show up in your dependencies package.json file. Back to our code. And now to actually render this element onto our web page, simply write React DOM .render. The element that we want to render is this element right here. And we're going to render it on a DOM node called root. I'll explain what that is in a second, but for now, just write document.getElementById root. So we're using this render method to display this element onto our web page, to render it on our web page. To be more specific, we rendered it on a DOM node called root. This HTML file that you see right here, it serves as our template for our browser. It is the one responsible for showing us this blank screen on our web page at the moment. The body of our HTML is completely empty. It's not modifying the user interface in any way. It's simply blank. All it has is a div tag, an empty container tag that doesn't actually contain anything. It is the root element of our document. Therefore, from the empty contents of the HTML, our UI is going to be rendered on a single root DOM node. Let's try it out. And your page should auto-reload along with your header. A nice big title of Hello World. You can feel free to change the title of your header to just say hello. Play around with it a little bit. And it auto-reloads to say hello, which is pretty cool. If you hadn't installed Create React App to get this auto reloading feature, you would have had to install something like Babel Watch or NodeMon, but Create React App takes care of that for you. We can also change this from a header tag to a paragraph tag. Instead of H1, you can simply write P for paragraph. Back to your browser, you can clearly see that it went from being a big title, a big header, to a simple paragraph tag. Alright, this isn't too bad. If you want to bold your text, you can simply declare your tag as strong. And voila, it bolds our text. Now this is not very interesting. We can actually nest elements inside of other elements. Instead of a simple paragraph, let's create a list, which is denoted by OL. This stands for ordered list. And inside the list, we're going to have 3 list items. Now right here, this represents the content of our ordered list. So instead of just a plain string, we're going to have the content of our ordered list be the list item React element. We can do that by writing react.createElement. I'm actually just going to put some extra spacing in between those. React.createElement. The tag for this element is going to be li. The element that we're creating inside of our list, inside of our ordered list, is a list item with no props of null, and that list item is going to have a string of take out the trash. Now just copy and paste this list item twice more to create 2 more list items. Remove this last comma. And the second list item, it's going to say shovel the driveway. I live in Canada, so that's a big priority. And the third list item will be walk the dog. All right, we have one ordered list, which has 3 list items. And each list item has its own string of text. And here is our ordered list. Pretty cool. Now this, however, kind of bothers me. In order to create our list, we had to declare 3 React elements. We had to hard code them in there. Instead of writing them out one by one, we're going to use an array. So, declare an array, const tasks is equal to an array of tasks, such that the first element is shovel the, or you know what, let's keep it consistent, take out the trash. Second element is shovel the driveway. And the third one, walk the dog. Now inside of this third argument, we can actually write JavaScript code to manipulate the content of our ordered list. What we're going to do is delete this first, and we're going to map through our array by writing tasks.map, such that it iterates. It loops through every single task. And for every task that it loops through, we want to implicitly return a new element with react.createElement, such that each element is an ordered list, or sorry, I should say a list item. It will not have a prop for now. It will not have a prop. And the content of the list item will simply be the task that's being iterated from the array. Like so. And I'm just going to put some spacing right here to make it more visible. And if you're not sure how this arrow function works, make sure to visit the arrow functions lecture in the ES6 crash course. But essentially, it's taking this array, mapping it, and converting its contents to an array of React elements with list items that match the tasks present in our array. And everything works as expected. Instead of declaring React elements individually, we mapped out an array of React elements to describe our content. However, if you open up your developer tools in Google Chrome, go on More Tools, Developer Tools, we get a warning that each child in an array or iterator should have a unique key prop. The prop that this error is referring to is this second argument of our elements, I should say, since this is a map, a loop. Notice that we left it as null, and React is yelling at us for doing so. You're going to get this error whenever you're using an array to represent the children elements. As instructed by the warning, we have to give each one of these elements in the array a unique key prop by opening up curly braces. We're going to declare a key, and this key prop has to be something unique for each element. And in this case, it would be the task itself. These tasks are unique, and the error should go away. However, it is definitely possible that some entries in your array would be duplicates of one another. For example, what if I copied and pasted the following as my second task in the array? And we get the error again. The keys representing each React element are not unique. Clearly these are duplicates. So I'm going to revert this back to what it was. This was just to prove my point that we shouldn't use the tasks to represent our unique keys. We should instead use the array index. It is safer to use the index of an array to represent your key. The index of an array that's currently being iterated through is provided to us by the map functionality in the second argument, which we can declare as index. And simply place the index of your array as the unique key. And everything works just fine. Now, why does React ask us to give each element a unique key, a unique identifier? It simply helps React keep track of your changes in your elements. We'll cover props in more detail later on in this course, but the main thing to remember for now is when using an array to represent your child elements, every element of that array should be represented by a unique key prop. Alright, now this create element nesting can get pretty tedious as your app gets more complex, putting child elements upon parent elements, and it's for that reason that React came up with JSX. It's much more concise, and we'll look more into it in the next video.